Welcome to Lesson 6 in Saxon Math Course 1. Fractional parts is what we'll be talking about today. Our objectives for today: after this lesson you should be able to use a fraction to name a part of a whole, use a fraction to name a part of a group, and divide a number into equal parts to find a fractional part of that number. Some review from our last lesson. Remember, we talked about the order of operations and the order in which we should do things. If we're doing just addition and subtraction, we move left to right. If we're doing just multiplication and division, we move left to right. But if we are doing a problem that has parentheses, we always do what's inside those parentheses. And then remember that special division problem we looked at. We do everything that's on top of or underneath the division bar before we do the division. And then we also talked about the associative property that involves grouping things with those parentheses. If it's only addition or only multiplication in the problem, the parentheses where they are doesn't really matter, but you can't do that with subtraction or division. There is no associative property with subtraction or division. We've talked about fractions before in previous years. This should just be really a quick review for you. Remember that fractions are made up of two parts, two numbers. The top number we call the numerator, and that shows the number of parts that's asked about in the problem. And the bottom number is called the denominator, and that shows the total number of parts. So for example, if I had the number, let's do 3/4. So that means 3 is my numerator, 4 is my denominator. And if you want to think about what that means, that would be if I had 3 of these colored, 3 pieces of this circle. So the 3, the numerator, tells me how much is shaded, how many parts were asked about. And the 4 is the total number of parts, including the ones that are asked about. So that's why that's a 4 in that one. To find the fraction of a group, all we're going to do for now is divide the group by the denominator of the fraction. So if I'm asked what's 1/5 of 450, I'm just going to divide by the denominator. 450 divided by 5 is 90. So 90 is 1/5 of 450. That's all for your lesson today. Make sure you do your practice problems and put any questions you have in that discussion section. We'll talk about them in the next class period, and we will see you in lesson 7.